Hey there, I'm John David Anderson. I'm the author of Finding Orion. So Finding Orion tells the story of Rion Kwirk, who thinks he's the only normal member of his otherwise oddball family. And he finds out in the first chapter that his grandfather, who they called Papa Kwirk, has passed away. This comes as a blow to the family, and they go to the funeral. And after the Elvis impersonators and the taco trucks and the marching bands and all kinds of other crazy stuff, the father goes up to the casket and finds an interesting surprise. And the rest of the story is the Kwirk family attempting to come to grips with what has happened with their grandfather and what is happening to their family and how to honor his legacy. And it also has pythons and ferrets and giant ice cream sundaes and sword fights and candy making conspiracies and Mount Everest and all kinds of other wonderful things in there. But it's mostly about family and how we remember the ones that we love the most. So when I was in the 7th grade, we all had to write a short story. We had to get a hardbound book, and we had to handwrite our story in the book, and we had to illustrate it and come up with a cover design and all these things. I don't even remember what story I wrote. The only thing I remember is that my 7th grade language arts teacher stood at the front of the room and said, "All these stories are wonderful, but if I could pick my favorite, it would be this one." And then she read my story out loud to the class. And she didn't say my name, she just read my story, but obviously I knew it was mine. And I think that was the first time in my life that somebody whose last name wasn't Anderson took an investment in something that I had created and showed me that they believed that I had some talent. I love librarians. I think they're awesome people. And I do remember I was at a conference once, and this is the only time that I've ever felt famous. I was standing in a corner, and I had somebody tap me on the shoulder, and a young woman said, "Are you John David Anderson?" And of course I was shocked that I had been recognized, but it was a group of 3 or 4 librarians, and they were going to lunch, and they invited me to lunch along with them. And so I spent the next 2 hours with these librarians eating pizza and talking about our favorite books. And it was at that moment that I realized what a tight-knit community we are. You know, book publishers, librarians, teachers, authors, we're all in the business of getting kids to read. That's why I think anything we can do to make our community even tighter, to build bonds out into the communities, especially communities where kids don't have books, that's what a librarian does, right? They provide access to information, access to wardrobes that lead you to Narnia, access to poetry, access to the beauty of language, access to whole new worlds. And I really value the community that I've been able to create with the librarians and the teachers. I hope that it sparks their curiosity. I hope it gets them to ask questions. I really hope it gets them to laugh, even if it's a sad book or a book that deals with serious issues. I think our capacity to smile and laugh is what keeps us from crying all the time. I hope that the kids who want to escape can escape, and I hope the kids that want to empathize can empathize. I hope it provides avenues for discussion. I hope it's something that they can share with their friends. But mostly my goal is to get a kid who would otherwise go home and pick up an iPad or an Xbox controller to pick up a book instead, to make it a hobby, a lifelong love of reading. Because I think at the age that I write for, that's where that kind of love can get lost. If I can write a book that's good enough to get a kid to be invested enough in it that that's how they want to spend their free time, then that makes me a success.